Hello everyone and welcome back. So today we will continue with the authentication flow for our Sveltekit starter project. We left off yesterday by finishing the sign-in flow, and technically I thought that we finished also the verification code for the magic link flow, but actually I realized that we still have a couple of things to do with to make sure that we finish with that. And what I would like to do today is First of all, make sure we have a sign out action, and after that, finishing the verification flow. What I wanna do there and what I wanna add is a let's say quality of life improvement. I want the user to know when the verification code will be expired, and if that's the case, if the verification code is expired, have an action for resending the code to the user. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Let me quickly open up the dev server. All right, it's loading. Sure is taking its time. The first time when you spin up the dev server, I see that takes quite a bit of time, but that's okay. Great, so we're up and running. And the thing is that you can see that we are logged in. Firstly, because if you take a look at our storage, we have a session cookie. And also we can access the dashboard page, which is a protected page. And what I would like to do is create the sign out action. But first, you can see our top navigation right here. And I think we already have the logic if we take a look at our layout components and our private navbar, public navbar. Yeah, we have the logic in here. We just need to pass what we need. So basically, in case the user is not authenticated, we show the sign in and sign up buttons, which navigate to the appropriate pages. Otherwise, we want to show a sign out and a go to dashboard buttons. One which is a simple form. So the button is just a submit button on a form, which triggers the sign out action. And the other one is the link to the dashboard itself. And how we are going to do that is take a look at our layout. And we just hard coded this since we didn't have any logic at the time. So what we will do now is, I'm thinking, yeah, we'll just go into our routes, like so, and create the layout TS. I think this actually can be a .server.ts, and in here we are gonna load method. Gonna access our locals, and from here we take the session and the user, and we are just gonna return those. Like so. And basically those are coming from our hooks that sit in between the hook, actually the handle hook that sits in between any request. And we, in case we have an actual session token, we are just making sure that the session is and the user are set up correctly. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking a bit about the logic, but everything seems fine in here. So we pass those in here, and basically because I intentionally put this in the root layout of our routes folder, so that any page in whatever group we have can have access to this layout or to the data returned in this layout. So we can access this in both layout and any other page. And if you take a look, so we are in the layout of the public group. And now if we take the data from our props, we will be able to see here if okay. You can see that we have access to our user and data. And our user is typed as whatever we return from our database or null. And just a quick hack to cast this as a boolean. So if we have an user and a session, we know that we are authenticated. And now, hopefully, come on. All right, so now we can see this working as expected because we have a session and user. We can either sign out or go to the dashboard. Right now, if I were to try to sign out, I'll get a 404 because we don't have anything to sign out. So what we will do is go into in auth and just create page.server, and in here we will just export an action, default action, for us to sign out, and we'll structure this event, take our locals, and in here we will grab database, the session, and the user. Again, in order to be on the safe side of things, let's make sure that we have, if we don't have a session or we don't have a user, we can just redirect to sign in. Otherwise, we know that we are logged in, and what we want to do is delete our session, and for that we will go into our auth service, and in here we can just export a invalidate session method.
The easiest way to get into the meditative state is to begin,
which will get a DB, and also a session ID as a parameter, and we'll just delete from sessions where sessions ID is equal to our session ID, like so. Now can just call validate session. So, and we also want to, I think we already have, yeah, delete the session token cookie. We will need our cookies from the end, like so. And that should be it. Let me just quickly also open up the Drizzle Studio interface. And you can see we have our session right here. Also, our cookie. And now, if I sign out, internal error. Okay. That's weird. Oh, I know. Forgot to redirect in here, the main page. So basically what happened is that everything ran off smoothly. If we take a look, the cookie is deleted. The session, if we refresh, is now deleted as well. But then because we triggered that action on that particular page, it actually have a page. We don't need it, but we forgot to do something else with it, which was redirecting to our main page, our home page. And now the idea is that because I did that, apparently it didn't invalidated the data. Well, that's because the redirect wasn't triggered, but just so you can test out that our auth guard right here is working. If I try to sign out, it should redirect me to the sign-in page. Okay, and I did just that. And just again, to test this out, you can sign in. Grab the application code. And we're in. Now if I go to home and try to sign out again, it will go through the flow, but this time it worked properly. It reloaded the data, and you can see that we don't have a that stale state that we saw previously. Great. Now, with this out of the way, we can focus on our verify page. Make sure we finish what we have in here. So you can see that I have this cookie right here, which was purposefully added for this scenario, so that we can see if we are still within the validity range. And what I would like to do is to go on our load method. Okay, so Not just thinking that no, it's fine. Okay, so what we will do is make sure to get our cookie. So cookies.get. So let's see. Basically the verification code right now. Oh, nice. So it seems like it's encrypted. But basically I think that this is just quickly grab it. Okay, so yeah, it's not encrypted. It's just it's not sure UTF-8 encrypted, so that the spaces right there appear like so, and we have access to this object. But unfortunately, because we are grabbing the value from the cookie itself, it's not actually typed properly, and this is a JSON representation, a stringified JSON representation of our verification code. So we can just json.parse code right here. But the thing is that even though, so let's say only if we have our code, because it complains that technically this might be undefined if it doesn't get the cookie, if it doesn't find the cookie, but it's not typed properly. So I'm thinking, because we don't have a schema for it, and I'm not sure if it's really necessary to do this. Let me just think for a second. So we have DB schema right here, and actually need to define this up here. And basically what we want to do is return our verification code. But if I, for example, type this here as a verification code select, we will actually need to assign a value. And because we do this, we need to make sure that we specify its properties. What else do we have? User ID, expires at, and created at. Okay. That works perfectly. And technically, we don't even need to type this as such, because since we are instantiating it, it already knows how to, or what properties do we have in here. So it's okay to leave it like that. Great. Now, on our verify page, what I want to do is make sure to, so So I want to display in case we have a verification code which is valid, and the code is expired. Nice form for resending the action, but also if it's still valid, it's not expired, I also want to display a counter so that the user knows how much time is left for that code being available. So for that, what I would like to do is to go in here and let's take a quick look. Should have a verification code available. Okay. So if you remember, we have a small issue with parsing to an ISO date. So for that, I think we have the logic in here somewhere. Actually in here. Oh, yeah, like so. This one. Let's set our expiration date. It's right here. And minutes. And this is coming from data verification codes. So we know what time the code is going to expire. And we will just have an expired flag, which will be a state of again from date date. So if the current date is after the expiration date, we know that our verification code is expired. And let's just quickly so the way we do this is a little bit more convoluted, but let's just for the moment have a operation like so, which is a nice thing. So if we call interval to duration from date fns, can pass in here property with start will be the current date, the end will be our expiration date, and here we can have an if where we have, so for the moment let's just do it like so, if not expired, and in this one, yeah, technically even if it's expired it will give you a duration. Let's just quickly display this duration right here. See what we get back. it's an object. Okay, but have this format creation method. And in here, you can see that we have 8 minutes and 52 seconds for the code to be used. Nice. Let's put also a delimiter in here, so you'll see in a minute. This has to do with the formatting of this duration. Nothing too fancy, it's just you can see in here that it's formatted so that we see that we have 8 minutes and 22 seconds. And we have this 0 property set here, which should give us a nice little 08 minutes and 22 seconds, but for some reason it's not working. I'm not sure why, but it's okay. And let's just make this a little bit more understandable. Code expires in, so that we know what's up with that. Could expire in 7 minutes and 17 seconds, like so. Nice. But you can see that this is pretty stale, and now I want to make sure that we actually update our duration each second, so the user can see a real-time update. And for that, we will need an effect which will set an interval. So each time we run the effect, we will basically recalculate our expiration date. Like so. And then we'll set an interval. Should we put, if I just put a value like so in here, I'm not sure that this will work, but we can see. So each time this runs, we will also, oops, we don't need state. We'll just reassign the expired flag. If it's expired, then we just clear our interval. Otherwise, we calculate the duration again, and can either leave it like so, we can leave it like that, or we can make sure that actually we can do this on undefined, but whatever. And voila, it seems like it's working. And what I would like to do is make sure that in case we leave the page, and actually I think that this will trigger each time. I'm not sure, but I want to make sure that we clear our interval in here as well. Like so. And yeah, that should be it. So you can see that we're reaching the 20 minutes mark of validity for this code. Yet I'm still wondering, let me just quickly grab the date FNS documentation. And take a look at this format. Format duration. Okay, and I want to take a look at the options. So it looks like indeed there is a value for 0. I think that probably is undefined by default. Yeah, by default it's false. But I specifically set that to true. And yet I don't get the zeros in here, which is weird, but whatever, it's okay. You can just remove that. So soon we'll be able to see what happens when we don't have, or when our duration is actually expired. Okay, so it disappeared. Nice. So it means that actually it's expired, and you can just invert this condition by adding a else block. And in here we will be adding our regenerate form, our resend form, or ending the code again. So this way it's easier for the user, not having to just sign in again. You can just click a button, and for that I'd like to create a new schema. Which will be our captcha schema. And we will also need to pass our user ID. The AUUID. And now let's make sure we return this from our load. Like so. Can quickly grab this. First, let's make sure we actually have a form. Can quickly grab this. Rename this to Resend verification code form. Like so. Don't need a redirect in here. We can just take a quick look and return this message here. Like so. Also rename these. Sure they are coming from the proper source. And for this one, the captcha token will be the same. Come on. It's your problem. Oh. Great. Now the only thing that we need is can move that label because we won't need it. This will be user ID. And this will also be a hidden input. Okay, and now we have this form action right here. So let's just quickly go and implement the logic for the action. We can quickly grab these right here. Great. Can also grab the captcha token validation logic. Can also grab wondering. I was thinking to grab the logic for finding the user in here as well, but I'm guessing that we should error out in case something like this happens. So technically this is a case that should not be we shouldn't actually run into this case, but just to be on the safe side, All right. And now we can definitely grab this part right here of us actually generating the verification form. Oh, and we also need to error out. Okay. And we can just return the verification code from here. Actually, I'm not sure if we need that, because I think when we resend the form, we will actually basically invalidate it first, and then it will give it from the load. It will return this from the load method. So let's try this. Okay, so something's not working. Let's see. So nothing in a console, which means there is a UI issue. We've got a failure. What was the value of the user ID? So it's an empty string, which is weird. Oh, that's because we don't actually set the user ID anywhere. So what we can do is in here, we can just pass it. And I guess it's the same thing. We can just grab it from the actual verification code itself. And voila, now it's working. We got our notification. Seems like our email was sent successfully, and you can see that it re-triggered the logic in here. and like we have a typo. And I'm wondering, in case we don't have a verification code in here, what's gonna happen then? In case for some reason the user tries to access this from a different browser, for example. Refresh now. We have the code expires in, but we don't have anything, so what we can do is we can wrap this and make sure that we display this only if we have a user ID on our verification code. And voila, it works. But we don't have that anymore in our console, so we'll grab from database, and now it's working. Really nice. Just so we're gonna do a final test. I want to make sure that if the code is expired, you can actually see what's happening. Just a quick double check. Okay, so yeah, looks like it's expired. Nice. Or it appears to be expired. Nice. Okay, and with this, our verify action is in place, which is nice. Great. I think now would be a good time to take a quick break. And after this, the next step will be to add our sign up functionality. So I'll see you in a bit. And we're back. Great, so we've finished our verification flow. Now everything is working correctly. So with that, the last thing that we need to do is to create our sign up flow. Let's quickly take a look. So we have verification code in place. But we will leave that for now. So technically the last thing that I will add to the flow would be the actual sign up, and that will make the basic authentication flow complete. But technically we could still add a couple of things that we will probably do a bit later, because I'll need to document a bit about that. One of the things would be rate limiting. It's an important security feature for anything that is publicly facing, for any publicly facing action. And another thing would be at some point to set up a cron job to delete any expired verification codes or sessions. I'm not sure. Again, I will have to document a bit about these ones. I think that maybe these could be done at a database level. Maybe with triggers. Another thing would be to have, I know that on Cloudflare you can set up cron workers or workers that are activated or are recursively or recurringly called via a cron job. But to be honest, I haven't used these ones. But yeah, we'll see about that. But first things first, let's make sure that our sign up is up and running. And for that, we will need to create another page. Let's quickly add the state that we need so that we can see something. Great. And let's make sure we define our schema. So in here, we will have our base user schema for the email that we will merge with the CAPTCHA schema, but also extend this with another property for display name. And let's say we make our display name to be a minimum of 2 characters. And should we put a max on this? Maybe. Let's see. To 55, I think it's like a reasonable amount, reasonable length for this. And also, let's put a required error. Actually, required error message. And now we can go and create our load method. In case we have a session and a user, we can put the same redirect logic. Otherwise, we can just return our form. Oh, and this needs to be an async. Okay. Come on, and now can actually create our form on the front end, on the client. And we can copy paste the handlers for the update and error. Just make sure that I mean the same message is okay. I don't like that these automatic imports importing from the file instead of the root itself, but it's okay. And now, again, I think we can just copy this markup right here. Just edit it a bit. I'm not sure why it doesn't want to get the input for me, but it's okay. And in here, you can just say already have an account. And you can sign in. Otherwise, the form is the same. We just need to add another field or display name. And just like that, our sign up form. Sure why it's not refreshing. Seems like a page reload should have been triggered, but for some reason it didn't. And voila, we have our form. Great. Now, let's go in here and yeah, it's okay. We have our default action. Now let's just go and actually create our action. In here. First, you can actually grab this part right here, as well as the return. This will basically be the same. Just we'll use the appropriate schema. Because first, of course, we will validate the captcha token. And then what I want to do is make sure that we add the logic that some time ago we discussed about, which is making sure that when creating a new user, the user has an active invitation. But we will wrap this in a call. So what I would like to do is in our variables, add a new entry for, okay, let's capitalize all of that. Like so. And this way we can easily control how our flow works, because turning off this invite-based sign up is just a matter of turning a variable true or false. And I'm doing this in here because I want to make sure that I have it set up like so. But I can just instead of code, I can just go over to Cloudflare once this is deployed, because this will be picked up. And once this is deployed, I can just go in there and set this to false instead of true. And I wonder if, okay, so no, it doesn't pick it up. So we will need the oops, for this to grab it from dynamic private. It's okay. And we will need to make sure, oh, and one thing, I think it would be better to just cast this as a string instead of a boolean, because even though we set this as a boolean, we will not have a good way to check in here. So if we have a value and this one is true, then we can go and check if the user is invited, or actually if the email has an invitation. And for that, we will go in our services, create a method which will take our DB as a parameter and an email string, like so. And we can check to see if we have a valid invite. Our email. If the length is 0, we just return false. And can also limit this to 1. Otherwise, we can just take the first value and check if it's active. So in here, to get our DB from locals, and we will pass that along with the email from the form. In case the user is not invited, we just return a fail. With a message. Like so. Great. Now, if the user is invited, we have a valid invite for the user, then we can just grab the user, the email, and if we have a user, oops, we will again fail this one. Because the user exists already. And the user needs to sign in. Otherwise, if we don't have a user, we will create one. But first, we need to make sure that we don't have a username or the display name of the selected by the user when signing up is not already taken. So we will need another service. For profiles. And in here, because we know that our display name has a unique constraint, when we search for a display or database, we will actually have only one user for that. Okay. Like so. And this would be our profile, and I forgot to export our stuff. From invite and profile as well. Okay, and if we actually have a profile, we want to return a fail again. So we let the user know it needs to pick other display name. Great. Now, if we don't have, so going through this flow, we know that we don't have a user, we don't have a profile with this display name. Now we can actually create our user. For that, we can just reassign our user, but we will need to go in here and actually create our create user method. Here we will use our DB, and we only need the email for actually creating the user. So and also on conflict, we want to do nothing because technically we will not get into this scenario, but anyway, this will be handled a level above this. So like so. And now we created our user, but just to be sure, we will have a check. And if we don't have a user, it will error out. And we will just error out. Like so. Otherwise, it means that we successfully created our user. And the next thing would be to create our profile for the user. So let's go in here. And in here we want the user ID, and and also the display name. Technically, let me think, and let's quickly check out, should be this one, the profile and the insert one. So you know what, we can actually, instead of spreading out in case that later we want to add other things to our user, we can just take an argument of profile, which will be the object of type profile insert. Okay, and now we can actually, I mean, we don't need to return the profile, so we can just go like so. Because we don't need it anywhere else. But maybe just to future-proof this. Just in case we, at some point we will need this. Let's just return it. Great. And now we can create our object of user ID will be user.id and email will come from the form. Oh, not email. Whoops, my bad. Actually, it's display name. Like so. And with that, we can go ahead and basically copy the logic from the sign-in because the rest is the same. After creating a profile, we need to generate the verification code token, set a cookie, and then send a verification email like so. And that should be it for our logic. Everything looks okay. Yep. So we can just try this out. If I were to log in with something, some fake data like so. That's weird. So I guess that even though I set my variable in here in my actual environment, it's not set properly, and it actually generated me a user with that email, even though I don't have an invite for that. So let's quickly check out. Yeah, it looks like it did. So let's quickly sign out. In the meantime, let me go in my environment file. And set this up quickly. Okay, and now Sveltekit is smart enough to refresh the dev server for me, knowing that we have a environment variable change. Oh, whoops. I think I tested this out because I forgot to change the link in here. Great. And now if I try this, it tells me that it couldn't create an account. So yeah, because of our mistake, we got to test the happy flow as well, the happy path. So it's working as expected. And with that, we concluded our authentication logic for our project. Great. So let's see. I'm thinking that the next step will be to create the contact form, because we created a page, but because we didn't have our database structure in place, I decided to do it later. And now with the authentication flow done, we can actually go and do this, because this will allow us to focus on the next part, on the dashboard and everything else that we have in our app route group. So basically everything external with the form will be, with the contact form will be done, and then we can just focus on the internal stuff of the paths that need to be authenticated. So we'll take another quick break while I go through and do a quick review of the code so far, make a commit and push to our, oh, and I remember something great. Let's also comment out these things right here. I forgot about those. So we needed our keys, our secret for Resend API key and Turnstile secret, which were set by me, just to make sure that I also show you this one. So in here, in the GitHub account, you can just go in here into settings and into secrets and variables and actions. And you can set your keys in here. And what this will do is basically will take anything. You can see here this argument for env, which tells the pipeline to grab these values from our repository secrets, and then it will know to pass those secrets to Cloudflare, to our worker, which is cool. So yeah, with that, basic authentication flow is done. So let's see you after the break. And we're back. So, reviewing the code before pushing what we have so far, I realized that first I can actually simplify our interval logic for checking the expiration time of the code. So instead of running the interval in the effect itself, which would basically trigger the effect running each time the interval is triggered, and actually pull that out, as well as instantiating the expiration date just once. But besides that, I also realized that we still have a small, admittedly, but still a missing piece in here, which is a way to verify the code from a link. Which means navigating to a certain verify page, but with the code in the path, like simulating how a user would click the link in an email. So let's just quickly add that option in our verify, and for that we will have a page. Oh, and it will be actually server.ts file in here with a param for the code, and in here the logic will live in the load method. So what we will do is first grab our locals, and from here we'll take our session and our user, and first the same checkup that we do in all of our auth loads. So if we have a session and a user, we just redirect to the dashboard. Otherwise, we can just get the code and let's go in our auth service. Oh, and we already have this method. And we can call our get verification token method. And in here we need to pass the DB. And for the code, we will actually need to take the params here and pass params that code, which is a string. And you know what? Instead of calling this method get verification token, because technically the token itself is just the code, we can call this get verification code. I feel like this is better. Okay, so what we need to do is, if we don't have a verification code, we can just redirect the user to the sign in. Otherwise, we can double check the logic in here. So for the most part, let's just grab what we have in here and we'll go through everything one by one. We check if our code is valid, if it's not expired. If so, again, we just redirect to sign in. Otherwise, we can delete the verification codes, and you know what? thinking, because in order to get so now we have a verification code. This looks okay, but you know what, since we are already using this method here, we can just create a service method for delete. And in here we need our DB and our user ID, which is a string. Let's call this method instead of this one, and I'm thinking if we resend maybe we can also delete the verification codes just to make sure that we don't have any verification codes prior to this one, like so. And it looks like it's good. Okay, and in here this one, let's just quickly delete our verification code, otherwise we grab our user, make sure that we have one, if not, it's okay to error out. And we can just use because we already have a user defined, we can just do a hack and underscore this value right here. Okay, if we do have a user, we generate the session token. After that, create the session itself. Let's make sure we grab our cookies and set the session token cookie, delete the verification cookie code, and after that we can just redirect to dashboard, like so. And this seems to be okay. And let me just quickly double check. Changes right here. And let's do a quick test. Okay, have our code. And now let's try, if we go to something that doesn't exist. Okay, the redirect, I think it wasn't properly because we... Oh. Oh, no. The dashboard. Oh, my bad. This needs to be /sign-in, like so. All right. I thought that maybe it has something to do with the fact that I put a slash after that, but no, it's okay now. Just like that for sake of it. Let's try without a trailing slash. Okay, and it works. Great. And now if I actually, oh no, whoops, I forgot the code. This right here. If I go to the link with this code, yep, it works as expected. Nice. Great. Okay, something weird happened here. Okay. Probably just minor issue with the dev server. Okay, so like so. And should be good to go. Great. Now we can go ahead and we have a double header on our contact page, double heading. Okay, it's weird that only one is shown. That's because we use the title in here for something else. Okay. So now we can go ahead and create our feedback schema for creating the contact form. But I'm wondering if I should go ahead and think about, so basically what I want to do here is have the contact form in a component that I can reuse, because after logging in and when the user goes to the dashboard, let me quickly go and find an example in here. I think it's in blocks. So we will have a sidebar like this one right here, and I want to also give the user the option to have a feedback form in here. That way the user doesn't need, in case you want to give feedback regarding the app, the user can just use this right here and not have to navigate back to the contact page. And for that, I actually want to have a feedback form, or a publicly facing feedback form, which will include a CAPTCHA token, and also a feedback form that doesn't include that for our authenticated users. So in that case, I think we will have a separate feedback schema, which will be a Zod object. And in our let's take a look at our database structure. So the feedback has a name, email, subject, type, date. But for creation, we will only be needing these 5 properties basically, because the state when creating one will by default be new. And I'm wondering now why I didn't put a default value in here for that. But maybe it's best to handle it in logic. Okay, so we will have our name, which will be that string. an email. Subject. A message. Oops. And our type. Which will be a Zod enum. And we'll need to pass all our types in here. Like so. And now our create feedback schema will actually be a Zod discriminated union, and we'll discriminate based on a field called public. And we will have an object here. So the public is the literal true. Then yes, has to be actually, and we can merge our feedback schema and also our captcha schema. Oh, when we import it from command directly. But I'm guessing we can just import it like so. Am I wrong about this? Not sure. I guess so. Let's see. Okay, otherwise we have a Zod object where public is the Zod literal false. And we merge this object with the feedback schema, like so. All right. So this looks okay. Now on our contact page, we can actually go ahead and create our server. file. And in here, we call super validate. And we actually know that this one will be the public form, so we can set that from the get-go. And our feedback schema like so. Great. Now, on the page itself, we can put this in a header. And I guess I forgot to make some of our headers pop out like so. And we can put some text in here. All right. And in here, we can actually, we'll put our contact form, but first let's create it. Okay, so in here, we will actually need to get our data from props. In here, we will pass the form as a prop. This one will be super validated. We need to infer type of like so. Okay. Next, we will or validate form object. And let's take a look at one of our other forms in here. Well, we will need a on update and an on error handler. Like so. Okay. And I guess can just grab one of our forms and edit that. Make sure we import everything that we need. But in here, we will need to have a condition because the captcha token might not exist unless our form is the public flat set to true. And now you will have our properties in here, our form properties. name email. Subject. The next one should be type, but we'll get that in a second because that one needs to be a select. First, let's make sure we have our message in here. And this one would be a text area, like so. And now for the type, let's quickly go to Shadcn. Come on. And grab a quick example. Let's grab the one from the ORM. So instead of this, we will have a select. Like so. And because our types actually have an interesting structure, we will create the object ourselves. Oh, and I need a utility method. in here, and I will wrap this once. Like so. Basically, I have these two utility method, string utility methods for capitalizing the first letter or the words. Like if you have a continuous word or a continuous sequence of string that is formed from multiple words, you will it will take the first it will take the capitals and replace them with spaces. That's because if you take a look at our enum, for example, you can see in here we have this feature request or improvement suggestion, and showing this directly to the user would not be pretty. So that's why we will do it like so. This will be our label, and then value like so. And because we don't use the key, we will underscore that. Oh, and we actually need to wrap this in parentheses like so. And we can just copy that over, and the same for the support ones. And now, if we go in here, we can just go over each type. We will grab label and value in here. Like so. And you know what? Since we have this nicely grouped into parts, let's just do something else in here and style this a bit more nicely. Like so. And now we can just quickly go over to our page and let me quickly export this. Like so. And now you can just use this. Oh. I need to grab the data from props, and in here we have our form. And by saving, voila, we have our feedback form, which is a bit funny. Oh, no, actually, we spread that. I'm wondering why that is. So, yeah, there are some issues with this. First of all, let's make sure that we use our utility method for this as well. Next, let's take a quick look at our select trigger. Make sure that set the weight full in here. Nice. Like so. And I'm also wondering why I'm not seeing the errors. Oh. Yeah, I forgot to display those. Like that. Okay. And now, for this one looks good. But I think that probably I also forgot to display the field errors on, yep, on our other forms as well. Let me quickly add these. Maybe for this one, it's not necessary, but yeah, that's it. And now, the only thing for us left to do is make sure we create our action. Okay, so this needs to be the action that goes to /contact on the form. Okay. And now I can create the default form action. For this, and in here, let's quickly go, for example, to sign in. Grab some stuff from here. You can delete this, but otherwise it should look very similar. Okay, so we need another condition here. To make sure that we are in a public form. And we also need to create our method for creating a feedback. Okay, and in here we will need the database and the actual feedback, which we should basically, we only send this part in here. So let's export a type feedback. By inferring this from our schema like so. And now we can type this one properly as well. Nice. Okay. Let me just quickly check something. Okay. I want to do something similar in here. Insert in our database. Like so. But it seems like we have an issue here. Oh. Oh, okay. Now I'm thinking, how do I want to play this out? So I think I will just add a default for this. But that means that I need to do a database update somehow. Let's see. So okay, great. And now I can just wait. Back with the DB and our form dot data, and I need to grab this one. Locals, like so. Great. And now there is just one small issue. The fact that I will need to recreate my database. Technically, you don't need to do that, but since we are in basically a first stage of this project, or this will be a starter, I just want to make sure that I have one migration that is the start for this, and I could either add a new migration and it will work just fine, but I want to make sure that when I start the project, this will be the first migration will include everything that we need for our DB structure. So because of that, what I'm going to do is remove our Wrangler database and also our sleep server DB migrations folder. Oh, and I can't do that because we have our server running now. I will npm db generate. Great. We have any migration. We can paste the manually added part in here. We will run our server. And it will error out, which is fine. But now npm db migrate local, and that should bring our database up to date. Okay. And now if I just refresh, it will work properly. And we can go ahead and test this out with some mock data. Great. And now if I look at the database, you can see our feedback entry in here. Great. Just one small issue is that on our feedback form, we need to a proper name for our send button. Like so. And that's it. We have finally finished everything that is a publicly facing action. That includes our authentication flow and our contact form. And I think this is a good place to end today's session. Next time, we will go over the authenticated or protected routes, which means our dashboard for the first part. Probably I'm thinking that we have a few moving parts in there. So the first thing would be to have our sidebar for a dashboard to have it properly looking. But with that sidebar, I'm also thinking that I will map out the navigation part of that so that we have something good to see in there. So yeah, we'll see. In case you want to take a look, I will copy paste link the repo chat, and as always, Thank you for watching and keep iterating. Bye.